Here comes the money. Money, 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 money. Alright, so dividend update from Medical Properties Trust. In this case, announcing the quarterly dividend. They usually do it a little bit after the earnings call. Let's talk a bit about the dividend. Let's talk a bit about the funds from operations, so we compare, all right, how sustainable is this, and also take a look at short interest, just some general comments around the stock. I think it's prudent to do that now. They announced a quarterly cash dividend of 8 cents a share, always very welcome for a substantial part in this company. So it pays rent for the month, or it could be a nice drip. As I'm still building that dividend portfolio, where I'm trying to take a portfolio from $0 to $100,000 as quickly as possible, and it's not yet at 100k, so I will do the drip. But once the portfolio reaches 100k, I will just use it to pay normal expenses. So this will be paid to shareholders on record on June the 18th. We have the X date. And the day that the dividend will be paid is July the 17th. So we have some waiting to do, but eventually dividend will be paid. And this is the new and cut dividend. Remember, share price dropped heavily when we started covering this stock. They cut the dividend, always very, very negative. We know why it was cut, with this whole entanglement with a previous tenant and the legal proceedings that have not been finalized yet. However, once everything is done and over with Stewart fully, well, in that case, the dividend can be raised. Is it sustainable to raise dividend? It used to be 15 cents a quarter, and before that it was 30 cents a quarter. Imagine the high yield that would have on the stock. It's not feasible anymore because they don't have the same amount of balance sheet as they once had. But we still see that NFFO is 14 cents a share and paying out 8 cents of this. Quite conservative. Cash flow has been a bit weak. This is explained by some of the new tenants not paying full rent yet, and this rent will continue to escalate until it eventually reaches 98% of former rent, and then cash flow will be good again, and we could potentially have a dividend increase to 15 cents a share. But as you can see here, you can't have 15 cents a share with an FFO of 14 cents a share. In terms of the balance sheet, it's 14 billion. 10 billion of those are debt, so they are a bit on the leveraged side as well. So quite the risky stock, and this is also reflected in short interest. We see short interest being 34% of the float, and quite a lot higher in the dark pools as well. So this is reflecting the risk that is in this stock. We also see on the dividend yield, it's been quite high even at current prices, roughly 7%. So for those of us who have been holding this stock since the big drop, we've been able to collect quite a juicy yield for a little bit over a year now. So indeed, here comes the money. Money, 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 money. Quite the good yield, and it should be a good yield. We should be compensated for the risk that we have taken with Medical Properties Trust. This is not a 10-year government bond. This is a risky company, and indeed heavily shorted, driving down stock price as well. Will this be the last time that we see the 8 cents a dividend before dividend is increased? I don't think that Q2 will be an increase. but I think that perhaps in Q3 or Q4 we can see an increase to 10 cents a share, and then in the next year perhaps we can go up closer to 15. But I think that the increases will be slow in this case, as the gradual rent increases won't fully kick in yet. So we're still waiting on that, and it's going to be interesting to see how NFFO and the cash flow from operations continues to grow in future quarters. But we know that the whole court situation is almost resolved, and it's always the case with company procedures like this. They drag out on time. I've been waiting on a lot of issues to resolve, not similar to this one, but I still remember a contract for a liquid neutral gas terminal outside of Indonesia being cancelled right before renegotiations, and that company, that stock, having to find a new customer, in this case in Brazil. But it took many months, and eventually they made a lot of money. They made money from settlement, they made money from new customer, no revenue was lost, and stock shot up, making like 300%. This will not be the case for Medical Properties Trust. In my opinion, the fair value, it's not really $10 a share. It's slightly below that, in the high 8s to the low 9s. I think that's a reasonable price for this stock, and then after that I think that they can pay 7 to 8% in dividend yield and remain roughly flat. So that's the expectations that I have on the stock going forward. Of course, we could always see bad events. We could see problems with other tenants. If that happens, well, that's investing, that's tough luck. Then as an investor, I'm gonna lose some money on the stock, and the shorts here are gonna be very happy. But if no further complication and court proceedings are, this bankruptcy fully cleared, the new tenants get in there, and hospital operations continue smoothly, and rent is being paid on time for the next 2 to 3 years, well, then as a shareholder, I'm going to be extremely happy with the passive income that this stock will provide for the dividend portfolio. All right, that's been some thoughts here around the dividend announcement. And as always, I hope you guys make a ton of money, whatever investments you decide to make. Take care now. Bye bye.